What's up, YouTube? Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and I have not had any time to film anything because this little boy, say hi, little boy, say hi, little boy, and he's kept me very, very busy and kept me incredibly preoccupied. Now, between you and me, I've enjoyed the break. I've enjoyed just kind of focusing on this little guy. This little dude. So, the last TikTok reaction I did was over an hour long, and we weren't going to keep the second half, but you fussing? You being fussy? No, he's been good. We didn't think we'd use the last half, but because I didn't have time to film, we're going to use the last half for this. Probably going to do some of the new... Probably going to do some of the new sleep token the next video I do film, but until then, this will have to do, because this little boy, this little guy, he takes a lot of my attention, and honestly, that's okay. So for now, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. I am a full-time vocal coach, helping people make, well, I don't want to startle him, noises safely and efficiently. I'm in a band called Kardashev. So thank you for your patience while I do the family thing. And why is your foot cold? Where's your sock, dude? Little boy kicked off his sock. You kidding me? Anyways, I don't know. Here's some reactions. Thanks for your patience.
This is Dinosaur 13. Dinosaur 13. We've got quite a few here. I'm going to go with the one that looks like it's just you. So here we go. Let's check this one out.
Metal vocalist of TikTok. Just stitch this and make a noise.
Okay.
Okay, so great fry tone, first of all. Also, if you're going to stitch this and make a noise, I think that's pretty killer. Really even, right? Really even. I want to. It's really short, so I want to listen to your tone one more time here.
Okay.
This is really where it kicks in. Right there. That moment is where your voice says, like, okay, boom, we're here. I know where we're at. Little break. This second one is way better than the first. So, yeah, really even tone, really nice there. I think your fry tone sounds killer. You could record that, and good golly, it would sound great. There are two things that I want to point out to you that would maybe be helpful. Also, by the way, before I get to constructive criticism, here, nice job tilting that scream forward and really getting some texture, really getting some flavor in there. You know, moving the tongue around for that low vocal. Yeah, so a lot of like changes in timbre, changes in pitch, I guess we could say. Really cool. Again, the distortion is nice and even. There are two things I want to focus on. The first one is here. Now, this is one that my students are, I'm sure, really sick of me harping on, but I'm going to harp on it forever. This really heavy kind of glottal attack.
Okay.
That sound right there, that could mess you up. What you can hear is you can hear the vocal folds kind of irregularly going, right? Now listen. Right. Again, this is just one clip. This may be the only time you've done this in the past 1,000 screams. Right. But all I can speak to is this clip. And also, it's an organic instrument. None of us are going to be perfect. I have studio work I have to go do after this. And I can't promise you that there won't be one glottal attack. The chances are very slim, but it's possible. Right. Because it's a human instrument. We're going to make mistakes. So don't think I'm like harping on you too hard here. But the vocal folds doing this, right? That's cruising for a bruising. Anytime our vocal cords are meeting irregularly, I just realized how funny of a face I paused it in. Hell yeah. You gotta have the metal face, right? But anytime our vocal folds are going, right, we're risking long term, like vocal nodules, a whole slew of things, right? So one thing that you can do is control your breathing a little bit more, or start with a ya versus ya versus right? That vowel, I'm not anti-glottal onset, right? But I am anti-glottal attack, right? So a lot of times if you're going to say and a good example of this you can do with your cleaning voice, I could say, or clean voice, I could say or I could say Hear the difference? The second one is like almost like a really fast crescendo versus right? You're not going to hear the difference in a final mix. I'll tell you that. And then your scream clicks in and it sounds great. So that's just something I'm pointing out because I care about your vocal health, man. That glottal attack, it'll happen every once in a while. Don't beat yourself up over it. But if it's like something that you do fairly frequency, cut it out.
Okay.
And now, boom, you sound killer. The other thing is over here. I know that the tilted head low is a tendency that's really strong across a lot of metal vocalists. Last year, I had a laryngoscopy done. I deal with a lot of acid reflux, and just because I do metal vocals for a living, I like to go get checked every once in a while. And I was having a lot of issues with acid reflux, so I actually went to a speech therapist, and I had to take medication and make some dietary changes, and everything's back to normal. But for fun, I said, okay, we always hear that tucking the vocal cords or the neck is not good. I want to see what it looks like. So I did this. I sang just any note, A right there, hey, and I tilted my head. And no lie, I'm going to use this mask as an example. Like, let's say, okay, this is not going to be a very good example. Let's say these are my vocal folds, right? They looked like, it was actually kind of like that. They were getting smushed. Yeah. They were getting smushed like this, right? And then I was noticing, you could see it's not tension I could feel. I want to drive this home. I could not feel it, but I could see the glottis, the supraglottal space, the area above the vocal folds. I could see it tightening in as a result of me pushing down, right? So yet again, we're creating, and again, this is what I saw in my own throat, right? This isn't the result of a ton of peer-reviewed studies or anything. This is just my experience, right? What we're getting is we're forcing an irregular vocal cord shape, which can cause irregular vocal cord coordination. And then to circumvent that, we squeeze on it more, right? So what you can do instead is create your low here. You got whiskers like me, right? Use all those things. I'm not a big fan of the head tilt. I know it's nothing I'm ever gonna like really make a big dent on. When I look back on my impact on the metal vocal world, people will still be tucking their heads, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. Other than that, though, the tone itself sounds very cool. Good job. Next. All right, this one's Devil Daddy 93. Kardavox Academy will love to get your thoughts. Okay, let's do it.
You made a deal with the devil in a black bag. Now there's a price on your head. Seal the contract. Automatic. Systematic. We want a pound of flesh. We'll slice that. Tell them all. Lost is massive. Let the script and a plastic process. But it's straight as we stand in the cockpit. Want a pound of flesh. We'll take it. You fucking bastard.
Okay, cool. So it's a roughly 5-minute clip, so I'm not going to put the whole thing in the video just for the sake of time. But I went through and I kind of scrubbed through the whole thing. So one thing I think the best place to start is that you're definitely, first of all, you're definitely extremely passionate about the music, and that's the best place to start. You're working way too hard though. You're working way too hard, and you're definitely putting a pretty heavy load on your vocal cords and your vocal anatomy that you're going to want to back off from, right? You're going to want to back off from it. Now, you have the right idea in some areas, like opening the mouth, like creating a lot of space. I can see you trying to aim your voice here. I can tell that that's what you're doing, right? Problem is, though, there's a lot of tension in the actual larynx, and I can hear and I can tell that you're pushing against that tension very, very aggressively. Now, part of the reason I can tell this, number one, is just from the way that it sounds, and there's this like really cracky, sort of croaky vocal cord sound underneath the scream, underneath the distortion. The distortion that you have in there, you can use, right? You could create some really cool high screams with that, but I think that it might be worth stepping back from your current technique, looking at distortion made on a very low fundamental level, and then building on that foundation. A lot of times when I teach students, how to scream, if depending on their voice, we may not like actually scream for like 5 lessons, right? We may just be doing stuff like or like that's it, right? And it's not really fun and it's not really glorious. But that you can lean on that and you can learn how to build your voice from the ground up. Another thing that you probably noticed here is that you were on time, and then you slowly started to get more off time. And it was clear that it was because you were gasping for air, right? Anytime you feel like you're gasping, you know you're working too hard, right? So if you step back from your current scream and try to do just like low level grunts and growls that are very easy on the throat, your throat feels nice and open, right? Doing some of the stuff like that, taking the air nice and low, and just kind of relaxing, and then building on that sound, you're gonna have a lot. You're gonna have a lot better of a time. I would say if you keep doing this, I'm not sure where you'll be in a couple years. You know what I'm saying? This is very hard on your voice, but I will tell you this: I absolutely think that you should take your love for this, because like I got hyped watching this just because of how hyped you are. I'm like, dang, this song isn't really even like my thing, but I was like, I was kind of bopping a little bit because your excitement became my excitement, right? Take that excitement, slow it down a little bit, reapproach your voice from the ground up. And I think that, if you do that and you stick with it, you'll be in a much more sustainable place with a much more effective scream. How long that'll take, I don't know. But I think it's the right choice for you. So keep working, keep practicing. Thank you so much for putting this out there for me to check into. And I'm excited to hear where you're at in 6 months after you sort of reapproach your sound. Let's do one more. Okay, so this is another student of mine. So we'll actually do one more after this because I don't want to seem like I'm playing favorites here, but I'm really just kind of scrolling through and picking kind of just at random here. So this is another one of my students. We worked together a little bit, then he took like a year break, and then we just kind of like wrapped up. So I'm excited to see where this goes. The main thing, now this is an older video, I think. So we had some, I believe, just looking at the date on this, we had some lessons together before, but not many. But one of the main things we were working on, and listen, before I say this, I know it's kind of a slippery term. I wish I could think of something better, but compression, right? Taking or evening out airflow. So taking your low and moving it from like to right, sort of consolidating the airflow and making it more efficient. That was like one of the main things that we worked on. So my attempt at To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore. Okay, I think I probably know which moment you're gonna do. It's a big moment. So let's check it out. Ending on a strong low. Holy crap. Oh, that sounded great. So, okay, this is an older clip, and having had our last lesson for now, just a few weeks ago, he's improved in a lot of these areas, but I'm going to point them out anyway. For anybody watching. So first of all, there was a lot of, what's with this headspace? Holy cannoli. There's a lot of good to be had here. I think the high range, and this is something I remember from working with him. We'll leave it. The high range was definitely a lot stronger than the low. The lows sounded good. They sounded on their way. There was a lot of good control, but the highs, especially with the like that was sounding pretty killer. With the lows, there was a lot of also working way too hard, right? There was a lot of that punch, and there's a very distinct, I'm not going to mimic it because it does not feel good, but there's a very distinct sound that mids and lows get, especially false chords. Mids and lows get when they're pushing too hard, and it's like this kind of like squeezed and wheezy sound at the same time. There was a little bit of that going on, although it didn't necessarily like ruin the whole scream. I would say that this scream is like one that's the lows here were like mostly done. And again, he's improved since then, mostly done. But what I usually do, like if somebody comes to me and they have like these lows that they're really punching out, like sometimes like you can't really see it here, but sometimes in a lesson, like I'll see like muscles quivering, right? And that's my first key in that, like, okay, we got to reapproach something here. One thing I'll do is I'll say, let's learn this on a speaking volume, and accept that on a speaking volume, it's not going to sound very cool, right? So like, the low vocal that I do, which is like false chord with like a lot of a retinoidal influence, is at low speaking volume sounds like this. That's not very cool sounding, right? But I have control over it. It's easy, it's comfortable, and I have control. So then when I do lean into it, right? It's easy, right? Because I have the foundational piece taken care of. I'll be honest, having done this for a while, 4 years, I think. My memory is so bad. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I think it's been like 3.5, 4 years that I've been doing this full time. If I have students drop, it's because if I have students kind of like say, forget this, I'm not doing it. I've had that happen before. I've had some people not like the lessons before, and every time it's because I'm saying, let's slow down. Let's not focus on sounding cool. Let's focus on comfort and control. And the vast majority of people, they're like, cool, that's awesome. That's exactly what I want. And that's what this student was like here. There was a big openness to fundamentals, but sometimes they're like, that doesn't sound cool though. And I'm like, who cares? Right? Like, who cares? Right? Again, using a cooking analogy, like if I'm making sourdough and I eat raw flour and I'm like, that doesn't taste like bread, I'm like, baking may not be for me, right? And it's like that. This scream, it's an ingredient. It's not the full recipe, right? High vocal, manipulation of the lips and the tongue. Loved that. Very, very cool. Great openness on the low. That sound was a low that is balanced. We're not working too hard for. Some of the lows at the beginning were a little bit too punchy, a little bit too hard. But overall, like I think this was a pretty good performance. And those are areas that I would look at so that like maybe in a month or two, it's even better than it is now. Very good, like intermediate stage vocalist. And again, this is an older video. I've seen him since then, and a lot of this has been cleared up. But okay, let's go ahead and do one more. I don't want to end on a student because, like I said, that seems like favorites. So let's go ahead and do one more. Let's hear. And I'm just going to do the speed scroll. Let's see what we get. This is Freak Whale. Recreant by Chelsea Grin. I had a lot of fun making this one. What's your favorite Chelsea Grin song? I don't know, actually. My Damnation. Yeah, My Damnation. Like, okay, I was about to throw out some hot takes. I'll just throw them out there. I think vocally Chelsea Grin's a lot better now than they were. Sorry. But there's something about My Damnation compositionally as a song that I am in love with. And if I heard, I want to hear Tom Barber do My Damnation, that would probably be dirty. Spice. All right, let's go.
All right, let's get her done.
Get her done. All right, that was really good. That was really good. At this point, really the only things I would point out are like really like put the coaching in vocal coaching, less like, hey, let me like fix things, and like, hey, here are some things to think about when you go back out into the ring. First and foremost, the distortion was killer. So even, so crisp. It was like cracking a Sprite and then the sound just lasting forever. Right? Really cool, really good. Also, excellent shifts from low to high. And I love that you were doing those little variations, like adding nuances to your high or low. Very Chelsea Grin, like you channeled the spirit of Chelsea Grin very well in this song. I didn't see a whole lot of strain. Now, one thing I think a lot of you might be thinking about is like, whoa, but he's leaning over, right? That's bad. If you look, he's leaning at the waist, right? His head, like, sure, he's like looking up a little bit, but it's a lean here, right? It's when we hunch that it's a problem, but this is more like that. And so I'm not really worried about that. Leaning into the crowd, leaning in, bending at the waist and leaning at the hips and using the knees. That's not going to have a whole lot of effect here. So that's fine. I hate to sound like a broken record, but the two things that I would focus on are this, right? Boom, boom. Now, it's not going to change the sound of your screams, right? So if you change from this to here, you may find yourself saying like, these sound the same. Why would I change it? Because it's going to be good for your vocal longevity, right? It's going to be good for your vocal longevity. You probably feel fine now. I just want you to feel fine in 5, 10, 15 years, right? The second thing is just those glottal attacks. Boom. Just the adding a lot of punch to the scream at the beginning. But those are the only things that I really would say are worth focusing on. The highs, really getting that tucking the high up into the nose that way without it sounding like kind of goofy and nasal is kind of a tricky feat. You did a really good job of it. And the lows were really in control as well. Yeah, this was killer. Freak Whale, good job. Really like the whole vibe, really like the whole performance. I think that this was incredibly strong.
Was that a good video? Did we like that one? Who is your favorite metal vocal TikToker? Good choice. That's a good choice, baby. All right, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient with kind of a rerun. Not really a rerun, but kind of a rerun. If you want to learn how to do metal vocals, hit me up. I have been keeping up with all my lessons. It's just the videos that have been put on the back burner. So you found my beard? Please don't pull it. Please don't pull it. Oh, it's gonna pull it. Don't pull it. Anyways, I don't remember what I'm saying. I'm gonna go take this little boy on a walk because he hasn't napped very well today, and he loves the stroller. So with that being said, as always, many thanks, much love. I'm out.